Y'all, first and foremost, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Shah. In this video, I'm gonna address something real quick in terms of this topic and this issue that's been going on for I've been hearing it for like the past month or so, and there's people who are under the school of thought that Arsareth in Second Ezra 13 is Africa. There are people who think that Arsareth is Africa, and the whole basis of that belief and of that ideology is it basically debunks the 12 tribes chart. And I'm going to basically explain and I'm gonna give y'all like the point of view that other people may think why they may think it's Africa, and compare it to exactly what it really is. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just when you go into the scriptures and really break it down, it's just no way that Arsareth can be Africa. All right, no way. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it real quick. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's go to the chapter. Let's go to the chapter. All right. So, Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 40. It reads, "Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land." So, as we know, the 10 tribes, they were the ones who went to Arsareth. This is referring to the northern kingdom. Northern kingdom. All right. So these 10 tribes were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, whom Salmanazar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. So Salmanazar, around this time, the northern kingdom, they were in these something called the Assyrian captivity. So you got two captivities that happen. You got the Babylonian captivity and the Assyrian captivity. The Babylonian captivity happened to the house of Judah. All right, the house of Judah is is who they were a part of the Babylonian captivity. All right, while the northern kingdom, the 10 tribes, they were a part of the Assyrian captivity. Two different captivities. All right, so keep that in mind because I'm gonna bring that up later and explain why that's very important and why people may think, you know what I'm saying, that what you call it, the 10 tribes, that Arsareth is Africa, and how the 10 tribes are exist that they're residing in Africa, somewhere in Africa right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bring that up in a minute, all right? But like I said, keep in mind the Northern Kingdom, they went into the Assyrian captivity. In the Southern Kingdom, they went into the Babylonian captivity. Two separate captivities for both nations, and they were both split, had their own captivities. All right, keep that in mind. So verse 41, it says, but they took this counsel, among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. All right, I'm gonna address that part in a minute. That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, and they enter into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and hell stilled the flood. I'm gonna address that later as well. And hell stilled the flood till they were passed over. All right, and I'm gonna address why people, because in this verse right here, people or talk about how, oh, it doesn't mention ships. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute as well. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, in the same region is called Arsareth. Arsareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time. Keep that in mind. Until the latter time. Latter time means end time. All right. And now when they shall begin to come. All right. So I'm gonna basically, like I said, break it down one by one, a little bit by each verse, to show you exactly why people may think it's Africa, and their reasoning behind it being Africa, and why they don't think it's America. All right. So for one, like I said, people are under the train of thought that basically right now the only people that were scattered to America, or that came to America, is Judah. The only people that came, the people that say that Arsareth is Africa, people are under that train of thought that the only people that came to America, that was scattered to America, was the house of Judah, the Southern Kingdom. All right, and they say that Africa is where the Northern Kingdom, that's where they reside right now. All right, and they say that debunks the fact that the people that they try to say that the natives or whatever are not the Israelites because of the fact that, for one, they don't reside in Africa, and for two, and at the same time too, this is almost like Pan Africanism because of the fact that you got people who sit here and tie everything back to Africa. Like Africa is the only land that we ever just lived in, that we ever just resided in, and it's almost like when you deny the fact that the 10 tribes came over to America, it's almost like you're denying history. But it's all good. We're gonna explain that. But like I said, people have this train of thought that Judah stayed, or Judah was the only people that came over to America, and the reason why they think that is because of the fact that, like I said, in history, and I can understand how there could be a misconception because of the fact that, like I said, the Babylonian captivity happened to only Judah. The Babylonian captivity happened to only to the house of Judah, the southern kingdom, while the Assyrian captivity happened only to the northern kingdom. All right, but you got to keep in mind though. All right, you got to keep in mind that what's call it? That was ancient Babylon. All right, in ancient Babylon, that was when the what's call it house of Judah or southern kingdom. That was when they went into that captivity in ancient Babylon. But I'm gonna tie it into spiritual Babylon, or what we consider America today, because there's no way, say everybody knows that spiritual Babylon, so-called Sodom and Egypt, we all know that that's America. We all know. But if you know that, then we're going to go into some prophecies and show you how the understanding of Africa being Arsareth is flawed through knowing that Babylon is America. All right, we're going to get into that. Okay, so now also it said right here, they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So if someone thinks that Arsareth is somewhere in Africa, you have to show me around the time before the time of the Assyrian captivity that there was a certain area in Africa where no man ever dwelt. You have to show me that place that y'all say that's in Africa, that's considered Arsareth. You got to show me, give me historical facts that no man ever dwelt in that certain area in Africa, or is Africa in general as a whole continent. Even though we all know that Africa is one of the most populated, we all know that even around that time you had kingdoms and other different eras around that time where kings and queens were ruling in almost every single land in Africa. So that's already out the window. You can't tell me that no one was residing in a specific part of Africa during the time of or before the time of the Assyrian captivity of the northern kingdom. If you can, then I'll concede. But besides that, though, that's one point that gets rid of the whole idea that Arsareth is Africa. Because the only place that we all know in history that no one ever dwelt was the Americas before Christopher Columbus. Because we all know that Christopher Columbus, they put this in our brains that, oh, Christopher Columbus, he sailed the ocean blue, 1492. He was the first man to discover the Americas. Because they called it the New World because it was a land that they never seen before, basically, right? Or that it was that they say supposedly that was never discovered, even though there were natives on this land before they even got over here. So you gotta make it make sense. How can a land be first discovered if there were already people residing there? How can a land be first discovered if there were already people? How can it be first discovered by Christopher Columbus if there were already native indigenous people here? Just tie in everything and make it make sense. This should let you know common sense that Arsareth is America because of the fact that that's the only place where never mankind dwelt in terms of like an historical fact. All right. So, let's just go down a little bit more. All right. So right here, when it says for the Most High, then show signs for them, and hell stilled the flood, so they were passed over. So, like I said, people try to say that, oh look, Why did it not mention ships? Why did it not mention ships? Where are the ships in this? They try to say that, oh, you're trying to tell me that they walk from Asia to America? They walk from Asia to America. And they try to assume that, oh, the river was dried up, so they walked there. They walked from, you know what I'm saying, Asia to Africa. Because I guess it's shorter, and I don't know, it just took them a year and a half to walk from Asia to Africa, even though Asia and Africa are literally right, like the Assyrian captivity where they were in Assyria. Assyria is literally like right beside, you know what I'm saying, or like right, like it's literally connected to Africa. That's kind of like almost like the Exodus. And we know it didn't take them, you know what I'm saying, a year and a half to escape from what's called it, King Pharaoh and get back to their land. You all know that. So you're telling me that it took a year and a half for them, or that they basically walked from Asia to Africa, and that the land was dried up because you suppose that they walked because of the fact that it didn't say ships. But I'm gonna show you in the Bible, literally in the Bible, there's times where it'll clearly it'll distinctly and it'll basically like it's very descriptive when it comes down to somebody walking on dry land. It's very descriptive. It shows you the difference between someone passing over water with a boat or with a ship compared to people and certain miracles where the land was dry. It's very descriptive. It's very descriptive. And I'm gonna show y'all. All right. So let me go to Matthew 9:1 real quick. And I'm gonna just give y'all the examples. I'm gonna give y'all the examples real quick. And it shows you, like, it just gives you like the clear distinctions between someone passing over water with a ship, compared to, you know what I'm saying, people actually walking on dry land, and it being very descriptive in those accounts where people were passing over dry land. All right. So Matthew 9:1, it says, and he entered into a ship and passed over and came to his own city. So the same phrasing right here, passed over, all right, is used right here as well. So they were passed over. Now I'm not going to sit there and say just because it says passed over does not always mean that it's using boats. I'm not going to sit here and just say this because it has the same wording that it means that you should just assume like no, because sometimes like passed over can refer to them, you know what I'm saying, walking through it. It just depends on, you know what I'm saying, exactly what they did. So it doesn't always have to mean ships, but it clearly lets you know in this verse though, he entered into a ship and passed over. All right. And get another verse. Mark chapter 5, verse 21. It reads, and when Yahushua was passed over again by ship unto the other side, much people gathered unto him, and he was nigh unto the sea. So once again, let you know, they same wording, passed over, but then it says by a ship. Let you know that he passed over water, a body of water with ship. With a ship, when it come down to passing over a body of water, that's the main way of transportation, by a ship or by a boat. Very simple. All right. Now let's go to Mark chapter 6. I'm gonna go to verse 53, 54. All right. So, verse 53, it says, and when they had passed over, they came into the land of Gennesaret and drew to the shore. So, if I was being picky and just read this verse alone, because this is why you got to keep reading. This is why you got to go into context and read before and after all the time, right? If I was just to read this verse alone and had that same train of thought that people may have when it comes down to second Esdras, and just say because it didn't mention ships, I'll be lost. Because it said, oh look, it says when they passed over, they came into the land of Gennesaret and drew to the shore. It didn't say anything about a ship in that verse. So do I just assume that they walked or what? So this shows like there can be a flaw in this trying to presuppose or just assume that just because it didn't say ships that it doesn't mean ships. And that's when you go into a bugged out doctrine. Into thinking that they just walked over and they walked through some dry land where it didn't, you know what I'm saying, descriptively even mention anything about dry land at all. All right. But look, the next verse literally says, and when they were come out of the ship, straightway they knew him. So Even though in this one verse it said passed over, but it lets you know the next verse that they were traveling with a ship. All right. So now let's go to some verses where it clearly shows you when they pass over dry land. Because like I said, it's very descriptive when it talks about someone passing through dry land or dry ground. All right. So Joshua 3:17. It says, and the priests that bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of Jordan. All right. And all the Israelites passed over on dry ground until all the people were passed clean over Jordan. All right. So it says the same thing, passed over, but it's talking about the Jordan River, but the Jordan River was dried up. So it's clearly letting you know that it's dry ground, clearly. Because certain miracles like these, they are very descriptive and lets you know for sure that it's dry ground that they are passing over. Okay? When it comes down to these miracles, the Most High in this word, he's not going to leave you lost and have you just assuming and thinking that, oh, just because it didn't say ships, that's our own mindset. That's leaning towards our own understanding. When we just try to presuppose things that don't make any sense at all. Sometimes you got to use common sense, but at the same time, too, there are certain precepts that help you understand and know how to not make certain you know what I'm saying, certain assumptions without, you know what I'm saying, just getting bugged out. You know what I'm saying? So Joshua 3:17 clearly lets you know that it passed over dry ground. It says it twice. And then it says passed clean over, letting you know that there was no problem of them getting through this. They passed clean over Jordan. Clean over it. Because there was no waves, there was no storms, no ocean, no water. They didn't have to worry about swimming. They just walked right through it. All right. Now let's go to Isaiah 11. Isaiah 11:15. It says right here, and the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea. So this is a miracle going on, right? Where basically like Mosiah, he's going to destroy a sea, all right? The Egyptian sea. And with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river and shall smite it in the 7 streams and make men go over dry shod. So once again, in these certain miracles, it's very descriptive of what men are walking over and what's going on. Letting you know that the Most High, he's going to destroy a sea. When he destroys the sea, he's going to make the land dry. And the men are going to pass through a dry area, dry land. They're going to walk through it. All right? It's very descriptive and lets you know clear as day when somebody's walking through dry land. So why do they not mention that in second Esdras? Why? Why do they not mention that? All right. No, let's go to one more verse, or a few more verses real quick. A few more verses. A few more. All right. So Exodus 14. Exodus 14, starting verse 15. So everybody knows about the Exodus when they were free from King Pharaoh. So it reads, and the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me, speaking to the children of Israel, that they go forward? But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground, through the midst of the sea. So once again, in certain miracles, in any instance where someone is passing through any body of water, and a miracle happens to where it makes it dry, it's clearly letting you know that they're passing through dry ground. Any area that was considered a body of water and it becomes dry ground, it lets you know that. Okay. So this basically helps you know that without a doubt, that when it comes down to the people that was the Northern Kingdom, when they were traveling, they didn't go over dry ground at all, because it doesn't just clearly states it. It don't clearly state dry ground. Why would like he just mentioned in all other accounts that is dry ground, but in this one he just leaves it open to just whatever it wants whatever you want it to be. All right, so let me see if I got a few more verses I may want to go to before I go on. See if I got a few more verses. In terms of this dry ground. Well, y'all should get the point. Y'all should get the point. Y'all should get the point when it comes out to this whole, you know what I'm saying, issue with people saying that there's no ships mentioned in second Esdras. All right. So just because there are no ships mentioned does not mean that ships were not used to transport from that place from the Euphrates River to America. All right. Just because it wasn't mentioned doesn't mean sometimes you gotta use common sense for one, and at the same time too use other precepts to prove exactly when in certain instances dry ground was used and when and how prove that they walked there compared to them actually using ships. All right. So instead of presupposing things, just making things up and trying so hard to debunk something. Because like I said, the whole premise of proving that saying that Arsareth is Africa is trying to debunk the 12 tribes chart. That's the whole point of, you know what I'm saying, people trying to prove that Arsareth is not America. All right. Now, this is one thing I want to really bring out. All right. Verse 46. So, like I said, keep this in mind. It said, then dwelt they there until the latter time. Then dwelt they there until the latter time. So, whatever land this is, the northern kingdom will be there till this day. That's what the latter time is. That's what the latter time is. Everybody knows what latter means, right? Latter means end, till the end time. All right. So if Arsareth is Africa, people are basically saying that, oh, the tribe of Judah, or not tribe of Judah, the southern kingdom, they're in America, while the northern kingdom, they're all in Africa. But I'm going to show you the issue. The issue with saying that Arsareth is Africa because of the fact that it doesn't line up with prophecy at all. At all. All right. So let me give you this one verse. And I can stop at when I read this verse, I can just stop right here. I ain't got to go to like all the verses in the world, but I'm going to show y'all this verse right here. All right. So Jeremiah 50 and 33. Let's read Jeremiah 50, verse 33. All right. Well, matter of fact, yeah, verse 33. So it says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel, and the children of Judah were oppressed together. The children of Israel, northern kingdom, and the children of Judah were oppressed together. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Verse 34, the Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. So there's a captivity where the northern kingdom and southern kingdom are oppressed together in Babylon. Now, like I already said in the beginning of this video, right? The ancient Babylonian captivity, it only included the southern kingdom, and this is facts. The southern kingdom were the only kingdom that was in captivity to the Babylonians in ancient Babylon. And you can prove to me that all the 12 tribes were in captivity to ancient Babylon, then I could see. But other than that, though, knowing that the ancient Babylonian captivity was only for Judah, that leads me to understand and leads me to just not just assume, but just know that this is referring to spiritual Babylon, modern day Babylon, which is America. All right. So once again, the prophecy in Second Esdras when it says that the northern kingdom, they will be in America or in Arsareth until the latter times. And even at the same time, too, you go to Second Esdras 6:9. Second Esdras 6:9 says Esau is the end of the world, and that our last captivity will be to Esau, and it will be in America. That's where our last captivity will be until the Most High sends Son to come back and redeem us. So we don't have any more captivities after this. After America, after this land is destroyed, we have no more captivities at all. Unless if you believe that Africa is Arsareth, then you're saying that we have another captivity to go there, because Israel and Judah are not oppressed together then. And this prophecy hasn't happened. So y'all got to make it make sense. All right. So once again, hopefully y'all follow me. Like I said, it says this prophecy is saying that in Babylon, Judah and Israel, they will be oppressed together. But this is not talking about ancient Babylon. Why? Because of the fact that ancient Babylon had only the southern kingdom in captivity, not all of Israel, not all the 12 tribes, only Benjamin, Judah, Levi, southern kingdom. Those are the only kingdoms. That's the only kingdom that was in captivity to ancient Babylon. So this is referring to modern day Babylon, spiritual Solomon Egypt, which is America. So you know that Arsareth is America. Everything should be adding up right now. All right. Everything should be adding up. All right. Now, let me go to Ezekiel chapter 20, and I'll do verse 34. All right. Verse 34. So it says, and I will bring you out. Matter of fact, let me start with verse 33. So it says, as I live, saith the Lord God, surely with a mighty hand, with a stretched out arm, with fury poured out, will I rule over you. Now, first of all, this heading says God will restore Israel to her land. This is not talking about only the northern kingdom. It's talking about northern and southern kingdom. All right. Then it says, and I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered. So people try to say that, oh, only Judah was scattered to America and not anybody else. No, we're scattered everywhere. And it's not like the northern kingdom, all of northern kingdom is just sitting somewhere, you know what I'm saying, Africa. Like, no, not at all. All right, so once again, my fault. I had to pause the recording for a little bit because I had to do something. But all right, so look, it said, I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered, the mighty hand with stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. Now, verse 36 is the point, right? Verse 36 is the point. It says, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, letting you know this is all of Israel. This is all of Israel. This is not just the northern kingdom. Letting you know that when it come down to the Most High saving his people, that they will all be together, and he's going to gather them all together from the same place that they were in captivity to. He's going to take them out of that land and bring them into the wilderness, meaning that both the southern kingdom and northern kingdom will be together in their last captivity, like how they do it all the time. They do this all. It's been done all the time in the Bible. So the whole point is, right? The whole point. These verses clearly show you that for one, Israel and Judah, both kingdoms are together. That's for one. And for two, it shows you that Arsareth is obviously America, and that their last captivity will be in America. And also, it goes along with the fact that, like I said, Second Ezra says that they will be in Arsareth, that northern kingdom, they'll be in Arsareth until the end times. So when you just tie in this history in general, right? Just tie in history, right? When you go to, it started off like this, right? So you had the Assyrian captivity, and that's when the northern kingdom, they went from, let me say it like this. So you had the northern kingdom, they went to America, all right? They got out of that captivity by going to America. And they stayed there until Christopher Columbus came over. When Christopher Columbus came over, he put them in captivity, stole their land, and basically, colonized everything, right? But Northern Kingdom was still in this land. They were just serving as slaves. So from that time, for 1492 to about 1600s, that was when you had Israelites in West Africa, all right? The dispersion of Jews and shit in West Africa, where they, were taken to captivity, and they were brought over here to America. And that's how all the tribes were oppressed together, basically. All right. Everything just merged together to make sense. So we tie in history, prophecy, and just even common sense and other precepts, it all makes sense. But because of the fact that people are trying so hard to debunk things that they may not even have a full understanding of, it's kind of sad. And like I said, even though, you know what I'm saying, I may not agree with everybody at all times, but I may not agree with all Israelites with everything that they say. But at the same time, though, we gotta at least try to get to that point in our lives where we're stop trying to just have arguments and everything, and at least try to understand doctrine and even have common sense with what's going on within the text. You know what I'm saying? All right, Slock, y'all give me 1 second, y'all. Slock it. So hopefully, y'all. Even though, like I said, like there's a matter of fact, let me see if I got some other verses real quick. I may want to bring up. Let's go to Zechariah 10 real quick. Let me just see something real quick. Zechariah 10. Let's see. Zechariah 10, verse 5 and 6. It says, "They shall be as mighty men which tread down their enemies in the mirror of the streets in the battle, and they shall fight because the Lord is with them, and the rider on the horses shall be confounded." So this is talking about what you call it? Talking about Armageddon, the so-called Valley of Jehoshaphat. All right. And look, it says right here, God will bless Judah and Ephraim. All right. So for one, when you go into the order of prophecy, right? Like I said, you're gonna have America. I mean, you're gonna have all the house of Israel and house of Judah. They're gonna both be oppressed together. They're gonna be together. Keep that in mind. And when they're together, they're gonna be brought out of that land together. And they're also gonna be fighting alongside each other together when defeating their enemies. It's all going to be in unison. There's not going to be any split. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to be one again, and we're not. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like us being back on our land, like we're not back on our land yet, but at the same time we're still oppressed together in the land that's not ours. Right? But it says right here in verse 6, "And I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph, that southern kingdom, northern kingdom, and I will bring them again to the place. Slack I will bring them again to place them. For I have mercy upon them, and they shall be as though I had not cast them off. For I am the Lord their God, and will hear them." All right. So the whole point is, right? Arsareth is America, and just based off everything that I said, it should make sense. If it doesn't make any sense, I don't know what to really say. If you need more precepts, I can give more precepts. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I don't want people to be confused and at the same time believing in some doctrine that just doesn't make any sense and can't be, you know what I'm saying, backed up with correct precepts. You know what I'm saying? All right, let me see if I got any more. Let me see if I want to have a few more precepts real quick. Just a few more precepts that I may want to bring out. Just a few more. All right. Matter of fact, let me do this real quick. Let's go to Isaiah 11. Isaiah 11. Because this is one verse that some people who believe that Arsareth is Africa, they believe that this is referring to only the northern kingdom being in Africa. So Isaiah 11, and what verse I want to go to? Oh, right here, 11. So it says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people." All right, so when the Most High returns, or when the Most High sent his son to come and redeem us, the first people he's going to come to is he's going to come to the 1/3 that's in America. So he's going to get the 144,000 for one, then the 1/3, then he's going to come to get the remnant of everybody else that's scattered everywhere else. All right, because the lake of fire, because that's a whole other lesson. But the lake of fire is going to be in America. All right, so he wants to get his people out of America first, then get everybody else. That's why I said, set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, Egypt, Paphros, Cush, Elam, Shinar, Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. So, of course, we're scattered everywhere. And look what it says. "He shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth." All right. So it says Israel and Judah. All right. And then it says, "The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim." So the whole point is coming down to, for one, bringing the northern kingdom, southern kingdom together. That's for one. And at the same time, two, is bringing them from all nations. We're scattered everywhere. We're not just, the northern kingdom is not just sitting somewhere in Africa. We're literally scattered everywhere. But the majority of Israel and Judah is going to be in America. It's going to be oppressed together in America. All right. That's where the 1/3 is going to be. All right. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully this all makes sense, and hopefully this all connects. Because like I said, you got to go into, first of all, you got to go by the order of prophecy for one. You got to go by context. and just make things make sense, have the right precepts to understand what's really going on. And all these things prove that Arsareth is America. All of it proves that. All of it does. Okay. So hopefully y'all got edified through the spirit. I love y'all. Even for the people who may disagree with me and they may believe that Arsareth is not America and that it's Africa. Hope if in this video you didn't get edified, or there's something that you may want to rebuttal against, or you may think differently about, then I respectfully, you know what I'm saying, look into it and see if anything if what you're saying it aligns with scripture. If it doesn't, then you may have to, you know what I'm saying, do a reevaluation of your doctrine and what you believe in. But other than that though, I love y'all though. Like I said, hopefully I got edified through the spirit. I want to end this up by giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Shah. Until next time, shalom.